Sorry, I was a little aggressive. Particularly on a day that I lost an hour of sleep I didn't expect to lose. I forgot. Morning. Thank you, Jerry, for reminding me. Hi, everybody. All right. As people wander in, welcome. Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Alton. My name is Robin Berkeley. I serve as president of the congregation as well as a worship associate. I thank you all for being here today, those of you here in the sanctuary as well as those of you joining us online. Everybody say hi. Woo, hi. If you're wondering where Reverend Krista is, she's here. She's just here virtually. She was exposed to COVID, and we decided last night to be cautious, just to be on the safe side. So she will be delivering many elements of service, via Zoom, but I'll be here to fill in the rest, so no worries there. In this congregation, we strive to be outward-reaching and inward-seeking. Our mission is to create and nurture an intentional community that values acceptance, social justice, and the embodiment of Unitarian Universalist principles. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, these can be found in the front of the gray hymnal, or you can just Google search and you will find it. You are welcome in the fullness of who you are, the fullness of your gender, class, culture, racialized experience, sexual orientation, family structure, and religious background. We ask that you offer this welcome to others as it is offered to you. If you are a guest, a special welcome to you. I hope that your experience is rich and meaningful and that we will see you here again. Please join us for a special celebration after church for the birthday of one of our long-term members, where you can ask any of us questions that you may have about this congregation or our faith tradition. I invite Joy to offer us the musical gift of her prelude. Okay, Krista?
Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry I can't be with you today, but glad I can be with you here this way. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we light a chalice to symbolize that we're entering sacred space and preparing our hearts and minds for the blessing of beloved community that happens whenever we gather. I invite you to join with me in the chalice lighting that will be up on the screen. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. Our prayer this morning is an invocation for resistance by Reverend David Breeden. I invite you to join with me as you're willing and able in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Now there is invoke, there is provoke, there is just broke, and there is awoke. There is justice, there is injustice, and there's just us to make justice and law happen. That's what I believe because I'm a free thinker. I believe it's only us, together, who can save ourselves. I'm going to convoke, C-O-N, with to call together, to call together, to call to get with it. Let's convoke, let's provoke, because those mad with power, those afraid of the truth, shut down newspapers, bomb mosques, close churches, shut meetings down, and shut people up. If you have an address, you're in danger. But the poets, the writers, the artists, the dreamers of a freer way will persist, assist, and resist, invoking, evoking, provoking, convoking, and awakening the populace. You, the poets, are the sacred. You, prophet artists, are the hope. You are the resistance. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 1017, We Are Building a New Way.
Please have a seat. So our wisdom story next is Drum Dream Girl by Margaret Engel and Rafael Lopez. So I guess, Krista, anything else you want to say about the story?
No, I just think it's a beautiful story.
Okay, good.
And it's actually based on a true story of a girl in Cuba.
Excellent.
Drum Dream Girl. On an island of music, in a city of drum beats, the drum dream girl dreamed of pounding tall conga drums, tapping small bongo drums, and booming with loud, long sticks on big, round, silvery, moonbright timbales. But everyone on the island of music, in the city of drum beats, believed that only boys should play drums. So the dream girl had to keep dreaming, quiet, secret, drumbeat dreams. At outdoor cafes that looked like gardens, She heard drums played by men, but when she closed her eyes, she could also hear her own imaginary music. When she walked under wind-wavy palm trees in a flower-bright park, she heard the whir of parrot wings, the clack of woodpecker beaks, and the dancing tap of her own footsteps, and the comforting pat of her own heartbeat. At carnivals, she listened to the rattling beat of towering dancers on stilts, and the dragon clang of costumed drummers wearing huge masks. At home, her fingertips rolled out their own dreamy drum rhythm on tables and chairs. And even though everyone kept reminding her that girls on the island of music have never played drums, the brave drum dream girl dared to play tall conga drums, small bongo drums, and big round silvery moon-bright timbales. Her hands seemed to fly as they rippled, rapped, and pounded all the rhythms of her drum dreams. Her big sisters were so excited they invited her to join their new all-girl dance band. But their father said only boys should dream drums, play drums. So the drum dream girl had to keep dreaming and drumming alone. Until finally her father offered to find a music teacher who could decide if her drums deserved to be heard. The drum dream girl's teacher was amazed. The girl knew so much, but he taught her more and more and more, and she practiced and practiced and practiced until the teacher agreed that she was ready to play her small bongo drums outdoors at a starlit cafe that looked like a garden, where everyone who heard her dream-bright music sang and danced and decided that girls should always be allowed to play drums, and both girls and boys should feel free to dream. And that is the end of the story.
Thank you. So we come to the point. Oh, you're ready to leave? Okay. So we're going to sing the kids out because they're ready to go do some RE today. I forgot what the song is. Okay, we'll just sing. Go ahead. Love is the wind, love is the wind, where you go. Sorry, my brain did not remember any of those words, so I just mumbled up here. Okay, joys and sorrows. We're a caring community where we share the joys which lift our hearts and the sorrows which bring us pain. As part of our worship service, we take the time for the expression of joys, concerns, or sorrows. There are stones in the back, stones here up front. You are welcome as the music begins to come down this aisle, come around the back, and come up on this side. Be careful of our camera projector there, please. Take a stone that represents whatever is in your heart or thoughts and place it in the bowl of water representing our beloved community. If you have mobility issues, feel free to raise your hand. We'll drop a stone in for you. If you're watching from home, please take the time to place a stone in water to be a part of this experience. So thank you. And go ahead, Joy. So our reading today is from Maya Angelou, but before I read the reading, I want to share a quote from Albert Camus. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. And the reading is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of tower and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And one last quote here from Audre Lorde. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So we have what are we doing with this hymn again? Because I know we had something planned. Go ahead, Mary. You want to say it out loud? Okay. We're going to, thank you. And then the next slide will come up in black. It's actually Italian, but yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Sorry. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, without it. Yeah, so it's Vieni Spirito Creatore. So, all right, begin. Bravo, everybody. Give yourself a round of applause. All right, Krista, now it's on to you, and I'm going to sit down.
Today's message is in honor of International Women's Day, which we celebrated on Wednesday, March 8th. One of the things I love about where I live is that I'm close to the Merrimack River, but not too close that I have to worry about when it floods, which it does often. The Merrimack River can rise quickly, and there can be extensive flooding in its floodplain many times a year. Personally, I find the floods mesmerizing. All that fast-moving, churning, muddy water, sometimes carrying large trees down the river. It's so powerful. The worst flood I've seen put my favorite trails under 15 feet of water. When the floods receded, there were expanses of sand in these beautiful patterns that had built up as the sediment settled and the water receded. There was driftwood way up in the trees. It was raw and beautiful. But there's a cost to these floods. Like many rivers around here, the banks of the Merrimack, at least in this area, have become dangerously unstable. They're eroding quickly because human development has removed most of the natural buffers that kept the riverbanks intact. There are mudslides everywhere. So many trees have collapsed into the river, their roots exposed to the soil around them as it is washed away. In some stretches, the bank recedes several feet a year. When I see the damage after every heavy rain, I find myself feeling sad, angry, and anxious. I also feel guilty because it's our presence that has created and sustained this damage. But there is this one section of the Merrimack in Castlewood State Park where they're attempting to restore the riparian buffer. They've planted shrubs, trees, and other plants that would have existed before we started changing things. The beach is now off limits. You can't put a kayak or a canoe in the water anymore. The shoreline is to be completely left alone. And the hope and expectation is that the root systems of these plantings, twining around each other, are creating a bulwark of resistance to the floods. Even if these areas flood heavily, the riparian buffer could be under 15 feet of water, but it holds steady against the powerful current. It stabilizes the bank, absorbs water like a sponge, like marshes do, slows the river down, and distributes the water before the rest flows away and creates amazing habitat for wildlife. Riparian buffers are an essential part of a healthy ecosystem. Today, we're continuing our focus on resistance. Last week, Reverend Claudia spoke about resistance through the lens of the Jewish celebration of Purim. We resist the dehumanizing power of the injustices laid upon us by claiming joy and living as fully as we can, despite the weight on our shoulders. It's a way of proclaiming that we have survived and are thriving despite the forces that want to wash us away. That's resistance through joy. Today, I want to focus on the kind of resistance that happens when we root deeply in who we are, like the roots of a riparian buffer, going deep into the soil and spreading wide, twisting into a thick, interconnected mass of root systems that absorb and diminish the power of the floods that would wash away our dignity and our worth. To do this, I'm going to be drawing from several of the values that are lifted up in the proposed revision of our principles and sources. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. Justice. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. And interdependence. We covenant to cherish earth and all beings by creating and nurturing relationships of care and respect. With humility and reverence, we acknowledge our place in the great web of life, and we work to repair harm and damaged relationships. So those are the three values I'll be drawing on: equity, justice, and interdependence. So let's start by returning to our wisdom story today, the drum dream girl, and looking at it, interpreting it through the imagery of a riparian buffer. The dream girl was born to drum. It's in her body, her spirit, her soul. She grows up yearning to drum, itching to drum, but she lives in a society where girls don't drum, where girls don't create music. And in so many ways, women can't follow their deepest callings. But the girl resists. She turns inward into her mind, internally drumming all the time in her waking and sleeping moments. She drums on everything in the house. She listens to the drummers around her, absorbing the power of the music like a riparian buffer absorbing the waters of a flood. And as they play, in her mind, she is creating her own imaginary music that merges with what she is hearing. She yearns to bring this out into the real world beyond her imagination. Using the imagery of the riparian buffer, with her determination to her true self, to drum, even when it can only be in her mind or in her home, she is embedding her roots into the soil of an unstable riverbank, the eroded bank of systemic sexism that would have her deepest callings washed away in the flood. Even when everyone around her is telling her, no, you can't do this, she resists and tells herself, yes, I can. And the roots grow deeper and wider. And then her sisters, who are also yearning to make music, they are being true to themselves and they resist. Their roots also start to embed into the soil of that unstable bank. And each girl's roots twist around the others, creating a bulwark of root mass that begins to stabilize the bank. Perhaps the worst disappointment comes when she and her sisters create an all-girl band. It feels so good. But her father shuts it down. It feels like the floodwaters are once again washing away their inner essence. They are heartbroken, and especially the dream drum girl, who by now is drumming by herself constantly where no one can see or hear her, all the drums that she's told she cannot touch. She needs to do this so badly. By this time, though, she is so secure in who she is that even this setback cannot cut back the roots she's put down. She continues to resist. And finally, her father's eyes open, and he realizes how badly his daughter is hurting. He expands his mind, tentatively anchoring his own roots in the bank of the river, and gets her a teacher who welcomes her, and her teacher's roots begin to anchor in the bank as well. They join the resistance, promoting what is sacred and whole. And finally, the girl doesn't have to limit her true self to her imagination or her private moments. And along with her sisters, they can fully embed themselves in the banks of the river. And when the floods come, they absorb their power like a sponge. And the roots are so strong that nothing is washed away. In fact, they are strengthened. And this resistance sends the nourishing water across the floodplain, the waters of inherent worth and dignity that open a path for all women to fully embrace who they are. And the bank of the river becomes more and more stable, blessing everyone, not just girls, not just women, but everyone. Because as Martin Luther King said, no one is free until everyone is free. I'd like to propose that all the ways we are held from our true selves are like the unstable banks of a river being washed away by flood after flood. But when we listen to who we really are, when we live who we really are, despite all the ways that we are told no, we are forming a holy resistance. Despite all the ways that we may be hurt for living our truth, our roots still embed themselves into the banks and begin the work of strengthening and healing the ecosystem that we depend on for life itself. In fact, it's not only ourselves that we are saving other people, because the bank can't only be restored by one person, by one life, by one root system. Our value of interdependence tells us that we are restored that we are saved together. Last week, something uplifting happened in the Missouri legislature. Hard to believe because of what's going on in the Missouri legislature. Reverend Claudia talked some about this last week. And if you read the Post-Dispatch, you probably already know that Missouri, like many other conservative states, has several pieces of legislation aimed at controlling, limiting, and ultimately erasing trans and non-binary people. It's really, really ugly, and it's really, really mean and cruel, and is already doing damage. I gotta tell you, I'm thankful every day that I live and work and live close to Illinois. Even though this is a conservative part of the state, the laws here create a safety, a sanity that doesn't exist on the other side of the river, at least not for now. Well, this week, a law that would prosecute physicians who offer gender-affirming care to minors or offer referrals for gender-affirming care to minors was brought to the Senate floor. It is a horrible bill, and some version of it may still pass. But this is what has happened, and why I think that these mean-spirited bills could backfire. There may be a short-term gain for the reactionaries by making political cannon fodder of trans people and those who support them, which is evil. It is pure evil, and I don't, as a Unitarian Universalist, use that term lightly. It is evil. But I believe that in the long term, this evil is going to fail. Now, why in the world would I be optimistic about the state of Missouri? First, the reason for this backlash is because more and more trans and non-binary people are claiming their truth, living their truth, speaking their truth, and the larger culture is changing because of their courageousness. All these dangerous bills are in response to a riverbank that has been stabilized or is in the process of being stabilized as more and more trans people, non-binary and gender fluid people come out and stay out. And as the larger society becomes more and more accepting and embracing of the reality of trans, non-binary, and gender fluid lives. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we're on season 15 of RuPaul's Drag Race. You know, the train has left the station. And so many of us have gotten on that train and we are not getting off. The roots have been put down. And it will take more than these trans kill bills to wash away the nourishing soil that these roots are bonding together, prepared to resist any flood. Why else do I think there will be a backlash to the backlash? Because there already is. Over 200 corporations have said loudly and clearly that these bills are anti-business and anti-family. And they have warned states who are implementing them that it will impact where they bring their money. Who would ever have thought that companies like Capital One, Cargill, and cargo transporters would be showing up for trans lives? I mean, think about it. Banks, agricultural companies, and trucking companies? Really? Yeah, it's happening. And this week, 4 Missouri senators, 4 brave Missouri senators, filibustered an anti-trans bill for 17 hours, delaying the vote until after March break. And they may filibuster again when they get back. They are determined to kill this bill. And they made the national news. So this fight is just starting. Now, in no way do I want to minimize what's happening because of these bills. Trans lives will be lost. Children will suffer from trauma that they didn't need to. Parents' hearts will be broken in the face of their children's unavoidable suffering. These bills are acts of hatred and violence that are going to steal lives and spirits. And every single root that has been put down by those of us willing to show our true selves, including those of us who are cisgender and speaking up. All these roots have created a riparian buffer that is resisting and diminishing the floods of hatred. Those bills and those reactionaries may feel strong, but they will not have the last word. Let's recall the words of Maya Angelou. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed heads and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weeping by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. With all the rain we've had in the last couple weeks, there are trails that I haven't been able to walk this past week, and as soon as they dry out, I'll be back. There will be places where the banks have receded even more. It will hurt my heart. And there will be those places that have resisted, where the bank holds steady, where the soil is like a sponge gathering up life-sustaining water so that more roots will take hold and the restoration will continue. This week, I invite you to take a few moments to reflect on where you have rooted yourself through your own authentic living. Reflect on how your own life has been a form of resistance, depleting the power of floods that could have swept you into the river. Reflect on the new life that you have helped to create and sustain for yourself and for others. And I keep encouraging you to do it. Don't let cynicism and despair stop you. Keep on drumming until your imagination and reality can merge and be one. Let's close with the words of Albert Camus. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. This is my prayer for myself and for all of you. Amen and blessed be. I invite you to rise as you are able for hymn 170. We are a gentle, angry people.
Okay. Marcella, could you do that? Thank you. For the offertory, we will be collecting for the church. Sorry, there's no script here, so I'm winging it. You're a generous people, so thank you, please, for donating what you can and what you will. And if you cannot donate financially and you want to donate your time, we always need volunteers for things, so thank you very much. All right, join me in the offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. So we have a few announcements. This Friday at 6:30, we're going to have our St. Patrick's Day party. Woohoo! Wear green, bring green snacks and green drinks. Make a dish with cabbage and potatoes and corned beef, whatever works for you. But the goal is to come together to have some fun. Bring games, bring drinks. We'll have music and just connect again as we did last month with our talent night, which was a blast for those of you that did not make it. So please come, please enjoy. I'm bringing some new games, so it'll be fun to play. I can't wait. And it'll be the day after my 60th birthday, so we're going to celebrate for that. Woo! All right, Krista. Now, does anybody have any
words are by...
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we are. Okay, good. Our closing words are by Maya Angelou. Let us live so we do not regret years of inertia and ignorance. So when we die, we can say all of our energy was dedicated to the noble liberation of the human mind and spirit, beginning with my own. Please join me in the chalice extinguishing words. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again.
Please join us.
Please be seated for the postlude.
Sorry. And just please join us after church today. We're going to celebrate Ron Glossop. He'll be zooming in, and we're going to just have a little celebration for his birthday. He's, 90? Is that what it is? His 90th birthday this year. So we have donuts. We have donuts to celebrate, so we each get a donut. We'll have some fun. Please join with the postlude. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Please come and join. I'm going to set the clock here. To be